What are the worst atrocities of all time? Just off the top of your head. What pops into your head right off the bat when I talk about atrocities, however you want to label that? What are they? I mean, Holocaust is probably one of the first ones. That's one of the big ones, the Holocaust, World War II, murdering all the Jews. But there have been many Holocausts of many different people, genocides. Maybe you thought about Rwanda. Maybe you thought about what happened to the Armenians. Who knows? Pick your atrocity. There's lots of them, aren't there? Now, if you think about the worst atrocities you've ever seen in your life, the Holodomor in Ukraine, all of it, what do they all have in common? Because there are different parts of the world, different groups involved, different people dying en masse. What do they all have in common? Every single one of them was done by the government, a government somewhere. Governments are poorly run, stupid, bloated, awful things. All of them are. All of them are. Everyone knows this by now. The founders talked about it all the time. So that's what governments do poorly. But there is one thing throughout history governments are really, really, really good at: hurting people en masse. They're really good at hurting people. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that foreign policy doesn't matter. Foreign policy matters a lot. We're all going to end up in nuclear winter one day, right? And so it matters. I'm not here to dismiss things that are happening across the globe. There are big, world-changing things happening. But for you, for me, and it really applies to our Canadian listeners or viewers. We have viewers all over the world, but this definitely applies to viewers of the West. I'm mainly talking to Americans here, though. The most important, the most dangerous situation for us is our own government turning its guns, and it has many, inward, aiming its guns at the American people. And look, why is this happening? On a macro level, and we'll talk about a few specific things that are happening right now in the country, but on a macro level, why is this happening? What's going on? Well, the leaders of Western civilization are all a bunch of evil dirtballs now. No more duty, no more love of country. These things don't stir the men who lead the West now. The men who lead the West now are in it to loot the West. They're only in it for money and power, handing money out to their friends, each other, exchanging things. And there's only, because they have so much power, they control all the institutions, you name it. They control the corporations, the government, the media, they have it all, the FBI, they have it all. So what's their danger? What's the danger to them if they have it all? Well, the people are the danger. You're the danger. What they can't afford, they're in there with looting the treasury. All these robbers are in there just pillaging us. And it's going well for them. But what they absolutely cannot afford under any circumstances is the peasants finding out and rising up. They're very, very worried about you. And so, just like every evil government has ever done, they're going to keep you in line, keep you in check. You step out of order, they'll smash you. There's a situation going on. It's not getting a lot of publicity. You know it. You'll be aware of it, but your normie neighbor isn't. Remember when Roe versus Wade got overturned? It's this huge moment. Roe versus Wade gets overturned. Abortion had been sadly enshrined into law since the 70s. Okay, but Roe versus Wade gets overturned, and now the states get to decide for themselves whether we want to allow abortion, ban a completely partial ban, and the states are deciding for themselves. But the response to Roe versus Wade being overturned, it's one of the scariest things I've seen. And I'm not talking about the public response. I'm not talking about your liberal Aunt Peggy ruining Thanksgiving as she screams about her 15th abortion now being illegal. I'm not talking about that at all. The government response, you see, Roe versus Wade got overturned. And because abortion is a sacrament to the communists, murdering babies en masse is something American communists love. They adore it. They're not ashamed of it. They don't hide away from it. They celebrate it. They push for it. They love murdering unborn babies. They really genuinely do. And now you took away their right to do that. In response to a Supreme Court ruling, the Department of Justice declared war on pro-lifers and started sending the FBI to their homes to arrest them. Do you understand how bonkers, corrupt, and crazy that is, no matter your feeling on life. It doesn't even matter. It's not the issue that matters. You can't use the Department of Justice as your hissy fit because you're upset about a Supreme Court ruling, and that's exactly what they did. Did you know the Biden administration has already put 12 pro-life Americans in prison? This week, the DOJ, they're filing suit against so many of these people. Why? Because it wasn't enough to just arrest pro-lifers, throw them in prison. The United States government, in response to an abortion ruling, is now trying to financially ruin pro-life activists. You understand what kind of country we live in now? That is banana republic insanity. And that's the kind of country in which we live. It's been 40 months since January 6, 2021. The federal government didn't just crack down on a couple dudes doing some acts of violence that day. 1,400 individuals have been hunted down by the federal government in response to that day. 5 of them have committed suicide. Did you know that? And it's not just that this horror is happening. It's that one side, the Democrats, and I can't stand Republicans, so I'm not cheering for them, but one side, the Democrats, loves it. They're cheering for it. We obviously we've covered all the lawfare going on against Trump all across the country. But let's just touch on something, because something happened last night in Georgia that really brings this home for you. Why? Why was there so much lawfare against Trump by different sources? Obviously, there was some White House Biden coordination. We know that now, but it wasn't just Merrick Garland, Jack Smith, DOJ. It's Alvin Bragg in New York. It's Fani Willis in Georgia. It's all these dirty commies from different places in the country. Why are they all coming up with these crazy charges? They're all crazy. They're all crazy. New York may be the most ludicrous, but Georgia's was certifiably insane as well. Well, Georgia just had a primary last night. Fani Willis, however you say her stupid name, after getting caught in a horrible corruption scandal and bringing a 100% politically motivated RICO charge against Donald Trump, she was not rebuked, cast away by Democrats in the Georgia primary. They looked at all of her corruption, the brazen abuse of the law, and Democrats locked arms and said, yeah, that's what I like.
So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, every now and then you get to stop and smell the roses. And tonight we're going to stop and smell these roses. We are going to celebrate. We're going to party. The DA drinking Grey Goose, in case anybody wondering.
Democrats, they didn't see what's happening to Donald Trump. They didn't see the legal system being used as an enforcement arm of the Democrat Party and pull back and cringe. They looked at what the DOJ was doing, what these DAs are doing to a politician they didn't like, a Republican they didn't like, and they loved it. That's why Fani Willis did it. That's why Alvin Bragg is doing what he's doing in New York City, because that's what Democrats are now. They're all dirty communists. I know that's horrible. I know it's a rough place to be. But what's happening right now at the highest levels of our government is the scariest, most dangerous thing in the world. Did you hear what James Comey said? He went on MSNBC. Did you hear what he said about the FBI? Listen to this.
What are the principal points of danger within the Justice Department if there's another Trump presidency, given his nature, given what you know about him?
He is a threat to the rule of law in America. To me, that's what this election is about. Not about policy differences. It's about what kind of country are we going to be. If he has the ability, smarter than he was last time, to use the power of the Department of Justice and the FBI to target his enemies especially, the rule of law in America will change in a way we haven't seen in our lifetime.
And so this is the point where the right steps up and says things that they're already doing that now against Trump. I don't understand what he's talking about. I know you don't understand what he's talking about. James Comey is a communist activist. James Comey believes the rule of law should be used against political opponents of the Democrats. This is not a James Comey policy. This is now the policy of the federal government. You see, the last bastion of freedom in Western civilization resides within the pockets of the American right. If the American right is finally smashed by these people, then they will achieve final victory, and they intend to achieve final victory. All the guns, all the force, all the things they've done to various countries, terrorist groups around the world, they have now reoriented all of those guns, and they're all aimed squarely at you. And this is what the right has failed to understand now, because there's a real cult of personality around Trump. When you have someone charismatic like that, he's going to create a cult of personality where people can't think straight. Either you love him or you hate him, and you just can't see straight. You can't think straight. People think Trump is some coup de grace for the left. Trump is the appetizer. As soon as they're all done with him or he's done with them, oh, they're not going to back off. They're enjoying all these new powers, and they intend to use them.